Welcome to the Two Chicks with Hiking Sticks podcast. We cover all things natural, cultural, and historical in the world around us. Sit back and enjoy our sometimes snarky, often funny, and never dull podcast.
Howdy do.
Howdy do.
Like I was just trying to think, where did howdy do even come from? But anyhow, howdy do. Was
You're
it
talking about the
cartoon?
little, yeah, no, he was like some kind of puppet or something, wasn't he? Was it Howdy Do?
Now that you mentioned it, I think you're right. I think howdy do, or he said, I don't know if he said howdy do or was that his name howdy do? Yeah.
That was before my time.
I don't think
Before
so.
your
If it was
time,
in my
too.
time.
No, it was before, way before your time, way before my time.
Okay, I'll go with
Before our
that.
time.
Well, hello everybody. I'm Susan with Two Chicks with Hiking Sticks.
Hi, Monica.
And today is
Howdy
another
Doody. That's what it is. It's Howdy Doody, not Howdy Do.
howdy doody. That's right. That's what it is.
I mean, I still don't know anything about it, but I know the name.
It's howdy doody time. It's
How the
howdy
hell would you
doody.
know that?
I don't know, but I must have watched it as a kid.
Because I think that was before you were born.
No.
I am pretty sure.
Or
I
then I
thought that was a
watched.
show from the 1950s.
No, it was in color. I remember color. I think I remember color.
I don't know, man. I
Well,
don't know.
I remember it because I remember it's howdy doody time. It's howdy.
Okay, now I gotta look. Sorry, I'm digressing.
Well, you know, every good podcast needs to have a moment of reflection. This is our reflecting moment.
It went off the air in September 24, 1960.
I must have been watching reruns
You must have.
because I wasn't alive then.
That's right. Neither was I.
It's
Okay.
howdy doody time.
You
Okay.
were making me feel like, did I? No, I don't remember watching that show. Bideke. All right.
Well, I was just talking with somebody the other day about what cartoons did we watch as kids?
Scooby Doo.
Well, the
I was a
Scooby-Doo,
huge Scooby Doo fan.
the Flintstones, Popeye, Mickey Mouse, the Jetsons.
I didn't watch Mickey Mouse. The Jetsons, that was like, oh my God. If that was the future, I was like, you can pack up your car in a suitcase. That's amazing.
It was pretty cool.
It was cool. It really did kind of tell the future. Maybe not so much yet for the car traveling in
Yeah.
space, but the robot maid,
Yes,
I mean, all that stuff, very futuristic. Just
yes. Well, and Critical Role has another show that's called Weird Kids with
yeah.
Allison Jaffe and
Yes.
Ashley Johnson.
Yes.
And I watch them sometimes. I'm like, it's like nostalgia. You know, sometimes
Yes.
you just have moments, you just have nostalgia.
Well, because she was a child actor. I think he was too, weren't they? They
Yes.
were both children actors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's
they have very
interesting.
similar types of experiences. And
Yeah.
I swear, you know, they're younger than me, but they still have some of the same experiences I had. So,
Yeah. That's funny.
so
Boy,
now
did we
it's-
digress or what?
sometimes it happens.
Sometimes
Well,
it happens.
today is an interesting show because we are going to cover Petroglyph National Monument, and we were going to cover this like I don't know 8 months ago probably, but we ended up having a change of plans, and so we never quite got to do it. But yet Monica now, because she's sitting in Albuquerque,
Yes.
she has had the opportunity to go to Petroglyph National Monument. So we thought this would be an ideal time to talk about this wonderful place of this history that sits there. And if you've never heard about it, let me tell you a little about it. As I said, it's I don't know, I guess it's in Albuquerque, but it's West Albuquerque. But it's in Albuquerque. Here's the thing I thought was interesting is that it was established in 1990.
Is it that recent? Wow.
As a national monument for federal protection. Now, I asked, oh, you mean to tell me this has been sitting out there and not being protected for all these years? No, that's not true. So it has been protected by different peoples,
Mm-hmm.
land grants. People who owned these land grants had these petroglyphs on their property, and they were kind of the stewards of them. Eventually, you know, land grants got bought up. Then it was like, you know, do we have the money to take care of it in the city of Albuquerque? And it's like, you know, what are we going to do? And eventually the proper protection of it came under federal support, right, when it became a national monument in 1990. But all during this time, they were pretty much still protecting it in one way or another. It just didn't have a lot of funding to do all the
Right,
things that it
right.
really needed to be protected. And it kind of reminded me of Canyon de Chelly when we covered that episode, because Canyon de Chelly is a partnership between the National Park Service and the locals to manage that property. It's essentially the same thing with Petroglyph National Monument, is that it's both the federal government and essentially the city of Albuquerque that are basically taking care of and preserving this area.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and what I thought was so important was the 24,000-ish petroglyphs that are there.
It is crazy how much you can see. But here's the thing is, okay, so let me start all over here. I pulled a Susan. Look at this.
I'm so proud
Look at
of you.
this. Don't me.
But did you read it?
I did read it, and here's the thing: is like when you get to the visitor center, and you want to go to the visitor center. First of all, there is a very helpful man in a booth right outside the visitor center that will give you these handouts and ask you where are you planning on going, because these three I think are the main trails, the main petroglyph viewing trails. It's Boca Negra, Rinconada Canyon, and the one that I did, Piedras Marcadas, which means marked rocks. But he's going to ask you which one you're going to go to, and then he's going to give you very detailed information on the map. And he's going to take his little pencil and he's going to be like, you're going to drive this way and you're going to go 2 miles this way and 2 miles this way and then half a mile this way. And you're in a neighborhood right here. So just be careful with the speed. I mean, he is a font of information. And if you've got your little passport book that you collect your stamps in, he's got all his little stamps out there. So you can get all your stamps. If you don't want to go into the visitor center for anything, you don't have to. This
He's
guy is
just
right
sitting
there.
outside.
Well, he's got a little booth out there, but he's got all the stamps and all the info on these things, on the trails in your handouts. Inside the visitor center is the usual stuff. But they've got hats, they've got hiking sticks, and then of course they have the books and the paraphernalia. They have those. What are those books that you collect? The ones that you always have that kind of they're on paper and they're sort of printed there. Oh, you know what I'm talking about. You have a million of them. They're
The brochures?
they're kind of brochures, but they're not really brochures. They're like printed and they're like $2 or $3. You bought you I'll have to show you. I did not buy any because I thought of you when I saw them, but I was like, I'm not buying these. But there's just a lot of information. And again, if you collect the stamps in your book, they have the little picture stamps that you can put in your little book. So, and I think there's also bathroom and water, of course, because you are definitely, I don't think it matters what time you go. You'd be a fool if you went at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm just going to tell you that. But even early in the morning, um, because I started at what I thought was early on a day where it had been 63 the night before, getting there at 9:30. And even though it was only 74, 75, the heat was intense.
Really?
Yeah. So you definitely want to have a lot of water and a good hat.
Yeah, because they
Um,
say there's really no shade out there. Is that true?
there is no shade. And the beauty of picking up this particular paper, the one that says petroglyph, is as it breaks down each hike, it tells you um, no trail access at the information center. You have to drive to the trail system, and there they have the little what do you call them, display things with the maps. But this does tell you how long the hikes are, um, how long it should take you, and how many petroglyphs in general there are on each hike. So if you go to
Wow.
Boca Negra, you're going to see about 100 images. If you go to Rinconada Canyon, you're going to see about 300 images. And then Piedras Marcadas, that's the one that had about 400 images. Now, even though it tells you 100, 300, 400, these are things that you have to really be looking for. If you've got binoculars, those are great because these are almost like volcanic fields with just mass amount of boulders. Um, the hikes are sandy. The one that I took was easy. Uh, do you need hiking sticks? Probably not on that one. It's very sandy, pretty level. There is some elevation on that one. This is the Piedras Marcadas. Um, but there's about 5 spots where you can stop and kind of look and see the petroglyphs, but they are all over the place. So you've got to have your binoculars and you've just got to have your head on a swivel. Um, this canyon, this trail was probably maybe the easiest. I did not do the other ones, but because all the boulders are on one side of you as you hike, the left side is empty. It's just the views. So the right side is where all the boulders are. And if you've got your binoculars and you want to take your time to look for stuff, you can find them. You can find them. You just have to really look.
So help me understand then, because when they talk about there being like around 24,000 petroglyphs, you would think they would be easily identifiable because there should be so many of them.
Well, some of them are. Some of them look like obvious drawings and paintings. And then some of them, it's difficult to tell. They're faded by weather, they're faded by time. And you can see that something was there. You just can't really make out what the details are. And some of them, if you look close enough, or if you can get your camera to zoom in close enough, you can see that it looks like a line, but there's a very faint picture. So if you spot a demarcation or something with a little bit that looks a little different from the rock, like I don't know if you can see that picture, but you can see right there. I mean, it's very obvious, right? These are obvious, but you can see the discoloration and the way it looks on the black. Most of the rocks are kind of black like that. So if you see rocks with some of those little light markings on them, there may not be pictures anymore. They're just what's left of those pictures, but I think they're still considered petroglyphs because there's obvious markation on them.
Well, yeah, so they talk about, because if you think about how petroglyph became petroglyph, so fissures spilled flat layers of basalt lava over dark soil. So this is how it kind of became, right?
Yes.
The soil wears away, cracks in the lava become rocks and tumble down, and eventually became the things that the Puebloans carved into, because you could carve past the desert varnish, what they call the desert varnish, right?
Yes. Yes.
And that's how they make a petroglyph.
Yes.
So it stands to reason that over time, more desert varnish probably gets on these rocks or something, right? I would think.
Something, or weather, wind, the particles of sand, because the trail is definitely sand.
Right.
It's very sandy, and it's a little breezy, not all the time, but I'm sure there are times when it's very breezy and sand particles are floating around and eroding some of the rock. So like I said, there are some rocks where you can see them and they look like there's a marcation of some kind, but there's no obvious image there. And I'm assuming that those count as petroglyphs.
And one of the things that, as I was reading about it, and I don't know if you learned anything about this at the visitor center or not, but because I was really trying to understand how these petroglyphs come into being, and these Puebloans, ancestral folks that chipped this into the rocks, and they did this probably around the 1300 to 1680s, is what they say.
Yes, I read that. Yeah,
but after that, Europeans or Spanish folks came through, and they also applied. So can you tell the difference between the Spanish petroglyphs and the ancestral folks petroglyphs? Were they different things? Do you know?
There were some things which I think were obviously, and I am a very untrained idiot okay, because I don't know.
We're not judging here.
Okay, but I'm just saying for myself, if it looked like an animal of some kind, something that we don't see nowadays, or something that had sort of like what we make a connotation with indigenous people, like that bird I put up a minute ago,
Yeah, right.
that
Yeah.
to me looks Native American.
Yeah.
There were some where there were just hands, and it made me think maybe those are the Spaniards. Maybe they just weren't quite as, you know, artistically gifted as the indigenous people. So they just threw
Well,
their hands up there.
because they said that the Spanish explorers and later settlers carved their own petroglyphs using like Christian symbols, livestock
Yeah.
brands, and initials and things like that.
Graffiti.
Graffiti to some, maybe art to others, I suppose, right?
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. I couldn't, it's not like I could tell specifically, but for me, if it looked more intricate, it looked like a design that was um, what I would associate with the indigenous people, then I'm going to assume that those were the ones that were done by the Puebloans, the ancient
Yeah,
Puebloans.
yeah. Which, so when you think about again how this was all formed, can you tell that this is a 17-mile long escarpment that
Um,
had existed and then kind of crumbled and had these rocks and that then became the things that became the petroglyph
you know,
canvas?
I would say no, I could not tell that. And the reason I'm saying that is because from the visitor center to this particular trail that I hiked was 6.5 miles. And I
Okay.
think that by now, and there's a lot of development around this particular trail. This particular trail, he told me it's in a neighborhood. And I saw the sign and I was like, well, it can't be down there. There's a bunch of houses there. So I went to the next light and then I turned left and I was like, well, there's nothing here. So I did go back around. And sure enough, as soon as you drive into the neighborhood, there's a little parking right behind businesses that are on that highway. And there's the parking lot is right there. And once you get out
In
and
the
you see the
neighborhood.
gate, say that?
In the neighborhood.
In the neighborhood. But once you start walking, um, and we can throw some pictures up here. Once you start walking and going on the trail, like I said, to your right is where all the boulders and the escarpment are, and to your left is just field, and then you can see some houses and you can see the development, and then you can see the Sandia Mountains in the background. So if you're familiar at all with Albuquerque, and the Sandia Mountains are here and petroglyphs are over here, sort of across the expanse of Albuquerque.
Hmm.
Um, and so I think a lot of that may have been developed. Um,
Well, and I think that was also why there was such a need to get this under federal control is to really halt a lot of that development in that area. Because I mean, as Albuquerque grew, I mean, obviously people want to, continue pushing west. You had more and
right,
more people coming in.
right.
It kind of became ground that you could do that. But um, it always, it's just like grates on me a little bit whenever there's like all this housing next to this like really valuable historic stuff.
Let me just say this particular trail is near or off of Golf Course Road.
Oh
There
no,
is a golf course like just right across, the way from it. Yeah. Um,
I
on
guess.
on your way to it is Boca Negra Canyon, and Boca Negra is about 2.5 miles from the visitor center. Um,
So you drive to these points.
yeah, you drive to these points, and that's another thing is uh, I knew that I would have to drive to them, but I didn't realize that it was going to take me a little while. I didn't do my due diligence in the exact research. I just looked at the trails. I didn't look at how far they were. I was looking, oh, this trail is this long. It's got this many petroglyphs. It's got no shade and it's marked easy or moderate or whatever. I can do that.
Sign
I
me
didn't
up.
look at where they were.
Yeah.
So when I saw that the visitor center opened at 8:30, I was like, okay, if I get there by 8:30 when it opens, it'll still be cool. Well, I didn't start till 9:30. By the time I got done with everything I wanted to do at the visitor center and made my way out to the trail, it was 9:30, and now it was hot as Hades.
Well, don't they call New Mexico? Isn't their thing Land of the Sun or?
Yes, it is the land of the sun.
Yeah.
And yes, it is aptly named. Well,
It's like
because
Land of the Sun because there's no shade.
there is no shade, and that's the other thing to remember is not only is there a lot of sun and you're at altitude. So 85 degrees in San Antonio is a relative breezy, cool day,
Chilly.
85 degrees in Albuquerque, and you're feeling the sun because you're at altitude. So I would also recommend that if you're going to hike any kind of trail, not just these, any kind of trail, that you spend a day or two acclimating
Mm.
to the elevation if you're coming from a place where there is no elevation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or limited.
acclimate
Yeah.
for a day or two and then go do your hike. Because if you try doing the hike the first day you get here at elevation with this heat, you're going to die.
Yeah, I was just looking to
You're
see if
gonna
I had what
literally
the
die.
elevation was. I don't know what the elevation is there, but I know it is something.
I want to
So more,
say it is, hang on, I just saw it yesterday. It is 5,300 feet.
okay, that's not kidding then. Okay.
That is not kidding. That's 1,600 meters above sea level. So yeah, that's no joke. It's not obviously it's not Mount Rainier or Rocky Mountain National Park, but you are still at quite a substantial amount of elevation, and you
Yeah.
need to take a day or two to acclimate yourself.
Yeah. And I was surprised that, that the place only gets about 350,000 visitors a year.
I'm really surprised by that too,
Because it's like in the
because
city-ish area. I mean,
yeah, it is in the city-ish. And I've been here before. The problem was that I was here in the summer, and I was having a hard time remembering when I got there. Where did I hike the first time? I remember hiking up some very kind of perilous. I don't know what the hell I was doing. To be honest with you, I was like, I'm just going to go here. It's hot, but I'm
parkour.
going to go like an idiot. That was before I was more of a prepared person than I am now. I want to say that I was probably just reading all this information, that I was probably at Boca Negra Canyon, because it says specifically three short, uneven, moderate to strenuous paths. And of course, what did I know? Concrete
Back then.
steps, small boulders to step around, and a steep and strenuous elevation. And I remember I was climbing around on a bunch of boulders. I remember that from the first time at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It was me and one other dumb guy there. We were talking and just having a good time, sweating it up. But I was younger then, so I was and more stupid, obviously, because this time I had a hat, I had my water, I had my hiking sticks, and you might see a little virtual hike come out of this a little bit later. You never know.
You might. That's
You
why you
might.
tune into us, because there are all sorts of things that we might have.
That's right.
Well, I find the place fascinating. I mean, because I remember seeing the petroglyphs when I went to Petrified Forest National Park,
Mhm.
because they have a place called the newspaper stand or newspaper or something like that. And you see a swath of petroglyphs. And to me, they're just fascinating to know that there were people hundreds and hundreds of years ago that carved this in a way that was like documenting their life
Exactly.
for us to
Exactly.
see.
Just to along with that kind of connection. Uh, and we talked briefly about graffiti, but really that is almost the mark of a society in a lot of ways. People want to express themselves in some way. They want to write their "I was here,"
Yes, right. Yeah.
kind of thing. And it's interesting that that crosses not just cultures; it crosses time. The
That's a
need
good
for
point. You're so smart, Monica.
well, thank you. But just that need for human beings to, mark mark their time, mark their passing, mark the fact that we were here. And
But you think about it, they were marking, animals or birds or whatever, right? I mean, it wasn't
right,
like I was here so
right,
much, but
right.
it was like they were really documenting what they saw around them. It's
Hmm.
almost like our diaries or,
Yes.
journals that we do, but plaster it on a rock.
That is very much so, because yeah, obviously that's the way that they got things across. And you see, what are the okay, I always get these mixed up. Petroglyphs are carved into rock. Pictograms, is it pictograms?
Pictographs. Pictograph?
Pictographs that are painted on the rock.
Yes, I believe that is the difference.
Okay. And those we see those too, where they've painted things on the rock using natural resources, telling stories at the same time.
Yes.
But yeah, they figured out ways to do it. They figured out ways to let everybody know they were here. And 1100 to 1300, my God,
Well, and to think somebody had to chip away at one of the desert varnishes to go, oh, look, it's lighter under here. Oh, look, I can make a picture. Somebody had to make that connection, right?
Yep.
And now look
Yep.
what we have.
Yeah, exactly. So
That's
yeah,
why-
these are, if you're at all interested in any kind of Native American culture, Albuquerque has always been a draw for me. The whole Southwest United States, for that reason, has always been a big draw for me. Mesa Verde, Petroglyph, the connection between the people that are still here and the people that were here, it's all right here for you to see in one general location here in the United States, and it's beautiful.
Right near a pretty big city.
And it's hot, but it's beautiful.
Well, that's what they say about me. I couldn't resist.
That was good.
I made myself laugh on that one.
You made me laugh too.
Well, that's pretty cool. So I'm glad that you actually had an opportunity to go there and share
Me
your
too.
experience, because I think that's helpful to those that may be listening to us, and also to promote. You really should get out there.
Get out
Just
there.
go prepared. We always say be prepared, but let's bump up the 350,000 people that go to maybe 400,000. That would be nice.
Right. That's right. Take a lot of water, take a hat. Make sure you take a hat. And if you don't want to, if you're going to do several trails, I did part of that trail. It was about a 1.5 or 2 mile trail, I think, total. And there's an extension to it that I decided not to do because it was too hot. And also because that extension didn't have any petroglyphs. It was just like an extension of a hiking trail. I was like, nah, don't got to do that.
Yeah, I want to see things.
Yeah, that's right. So, just look ahead of time and go. It's fun. Maybe in a cooler time or early in the morning.
That's the only time I'll go. That's why I'm not in Albuquerque right now.
I know.
Okay. Well, with that was pretty cool, Monica. I appreciate you sharing your experience with us.
Thank you. Petroglyph.
Ooh, look at her getting some merch.
Bought the merch.
Speaking of, if you like what you've heard and like to have more of that from us two chicks with hiking sticks, be sure you like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you can get this podcast wherever you get your podcasts.
Share our channel.
Because we're here for you, no matter how you want to take us in. We're here for you.
You can buy us a coffee.
Buy us a coffee.
Get a Zazzle store.
That's right. We have a Zazzle store. We got merch. So be sure to support your two chicks with hiking sticks.
That's right.
All right. Anything else, Monica?
I think we're done.
All right. Well, put a fork in us. And I guess until next time,
hike your own hike.
Hike your own hike. We'll
Bye,
see
guys.
y'all later.
Thanks for listening, and remember to follow our podcast wherever you get your podcasts, and subscribe to Two Chicks with Hiking Sticks on YouTube, where you also get to see our lovely faces, pictures, and videos of our journey.